starts here. All right, that's enough of me showing off. No, I'm trying real hard to stay in pentatonic number 3, what I call pentatonic number 3. It's the third shape. This is the first shape, the second shape, and the third shape. You can see I boxed it there. And it's the only one of the 5 shapes that actually moves, changes positions. So it makes it a little bit of a challenge in that regard, but if you're playing on the top couple strings, you don't need to change positions. If you're playing kind of in the middle of it, you kind of don't necessarily need to change positions. I was changing positions. I'll show you how I fingered it in a second here. Yeah, I'm in the zone. I try to get in the zone. Try to get in that zone every day if you can. It's a muscle. You just got to remember, you know, where you're just kind of coming up with ideas. You know, everything I was just playing, I was just improvising. It's a, you know, super simple chord progression to play over. You can acknowledge the changes. It goes A minor and then to F and then to G. So it's like 2 bars of A minor, 1 bar of F, and 1 bar of G. And you can acknowledge the F chord and you can acknowledge the G chord. Both of those chords have extra notes in them. The F I made a major 7th. The G I made a 6th. So all 3 chords have an E in them. So you could literally, and this is a great suggestion. Take this scale, for example, play 1 note and just play that note all the way through the whole progression, through all the chord changes, and listen to the relationship of that note to the chords. For example, the E over the A is the 5th. The E over the F is the 7th. And the E over the G is the 6th. And don't worry, there won't be a quiz on this. All right, no quiz on this. But, so everybody take a sip, celebratory sip. But those relationships, as the chord progression, if it was just a 1 chord progression, if it was just A minor, it'd be pretty boring. But when the chord changes and you stay on the same note, it's almost like you changed. It's almost like you did something. And so check this out. I'm going to play an E, and an E will, like I said, will work on very few notes. Will work on every one of these chords. Like the C would sound out of tune with the B or the G chord. You could sit on G. G would be kind of a cool note. A wouldn't be bad. E definitely works because it's in every chord. Check it out. So yeah, so you can listen to the relationship, and then you could try a D and see how the D sounds over everything. And then at the same time that you're doing that, so I'm choosing 1 note, playing it over all the chords and seeing how it sounds. If the chords change keys, it may not work at all because, thank you, Bruce. Bruce is doing the paperwork. If the chord progression is changing keys, then you're going to maybe have problems doing this. But if it's all in 1 key, and this is basically in the key of C or A minor, same thing, then you can concentrate on rhythmic motifs. All right. So if you're playing 1 note, you don't really need to think about scales or anything like that. You're just you're listening to that relationship of that note. Now, again, that note may want to change. And if that's the case, then you maybe make that change. But if you don't make that change, it creates tension, which I always say tension creates resolution, which creates music. Okay, so if I do D, it's weird over the A, a little weird over the F, but it fits over the G. And so you can start to mess around with rhythmic variations, and then that gives you, rhythmic themes or coming up with rhythmic ideas that you might not naturally come up with if you were playing might just all stay in eighth notes if you were playing scales. But if you're sitting on one note, you might start to hear triplets bah, 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 over that. You might start hearing 16th notes. Actually, this is 16th notes. This would be triplet 16th notes. And when you start to hear different rhythms, then that will play into when you start creating melodies. And then again, you've got two tools you can use to create kind of a theme and variations, or to build a solo on. And to play something a little bit more interesting than just practicing your scales over a chord progression. And you know, if we still have to practice our scales. We still have to, like this one, we're going to go over in a second here. And you know, just practicing that up and down is not a bad thing. Kind of getting it, as I say, under your fingers, so you don't have to think about it. That would be nice, especially if you can think of, you know, if you can get it down so that you can kind of feel how where it connects to the other pentatonics around it. Oops. Like, I need to take a lesson myself, I guess. So it's fine practicing the scale, but then, and you can even practice the scale with the track. Might be nice if I were in tune. Let's see. This is what I want. What am I doing here? I want this. There. What the? Oh, I gotta be on it. There we go. It was in tune when I bought it. I got a really gainy sound out right now. It's kind of going for a Lukather sound. Yeah, making your scale sound more flawless. Yeah, it's kind of one of those things where you could probably just, again, practice slow, deliberate. I'll go to a clean sound or a cleaner sound. I'll go to a clean sound. Hold on. And this one's kind of weird. Let's go over it right now. Let's go ahead and start. The bottom three strings are great. So we're in A minor. We're playing A minor pentatonics. Same as C major pentatonic, just so you know. But I can... Well, yeah, you always bend up on the E and B string. So, yeah, I wouldn't bend down on the E or B string. No, I'm not. No, I'm not bending down. I'm bending up on the treble strings. I bend down on the bottom strings. So on the bottom three strings, I'll pull down towards the floor, and then when I'm on the top strings, maybe turn your computer around. But yeah. Okay, so the bottom three strings on this are just 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12. The root is right here. So if you look at that, you see that R, that's the root. So we can just play the bottom two strings and we end up on the root. Or if we go from the fourth string like that, do that one. On the fourth string, 12, 10, 12, 10, and then back to the root 12. And if this is too easy for you, like, oh, Tom, this is basic stuff, then think about what notes you're playing. That can add a layer of knowledge. Oh, yeah. Now, vibratos tend to go I'm going a little up on the first string, but I'm not, yeah, it's actually going up and down. It's going up and down. So when you're on the bottom string, you're pretty much going to only be able to vibrato down. But yeah, it may look like I'm pulling down, but it's not. I'm going back. I'm actually going sharp and flat. I mean, it's only going sharp. That's the downside to guitar versus violin. Violinists, they'll do vibrato like this. That doesn't do anything on guitar. I mean, it creates a little bit of vibrato, but it's not that noticeable. But on violin, if this point is the pitch, then when you go like this, you're going flat. When you go like this, you're going sharp. So it actually creates a modulation, pitch modulation that's around the note. But guitar players can really only go above the note. But that's what people are used to hearing. It bothers a couple guitar. I know a few guitar players are like, yeah, it bothers me, and they don't like the fact that they can't go below the pitch. And you can, if you start like a half step below, bend up, then you can hear what a modulation pitch would sound like if it were surrounding the note. But generally, when you're just playing standard vibrato on a string, the pitch is always going up. You know, either, exactly, because it's fretless, exactly. Although there are fretted violins. I wonder if the bowing technique is a whole nother thing, and then keep turning the bow. I know someone who has a 6-string fretted violin. I think it's tuned like a guitar too, so she probably can play guitar, but she does guitar licks on it. I don't think 6 strings would be awful hard to tune in fifths. That would be crazy to have like E, B, you know, it could have an E, a B, an F sharp, a C sharp. Okay, I could see a C sharp, no problem, because this is the E here. But then now you're getting the next one would be C sharp would be G sharp. So imagine tuning a note to there, and now you still got another one to go. Imagine tuning, you know, it's like crazy. So, hey Miguel, what's going on? So this scale right here, the bottom 4 notes can just be played with, or the bottom 6 notes, the bottom 3 strings can be just played with these three fingers, or these 2 fingers, first and third finger, index and ring. You know, you can just kind of mess around with that, practice your picking. Maybe try to land on that root so you know where the root is of the scale. Practice trying to keep your pinky out like you're having high tea in England. It's really hard to do. But then the next string, the 3rd string, is going to be at the 9th fret and the 12th fret. Now you might, like one thing you might do, for example, here's a cool lick, very simple lick. Play the A, which is on the 12th fret of the 5th string, and then play the C, which is at the 10th fret of the 4th string, then the D, which is at the 12th fret, and then reach down with your first finger and grab this A. I'm sorry, this E. It's the same E as the open string, top string open, and this is the 9th fret of the 3rd string. And then go back to the 12th fret, back to the 10th fret, and then down to the root again. Now in pentatonic number 1, that's pretty easy, but it's not impossible in pentatonic number 3. Oh, no worries, Karma. And that way you can kind of get used to doing that shift, because this is, like I said, this is the only pentatonic that we actually have a position shift in. of the 5 pentatonics. So, but it's not like anything to be afraid of. In fact, what you want to do is you want to kind of embrace it. One of the things that's nice is you got the F. Now, when I'm bending with the first finger, Sam, I am gonna probably do kind of a fulcrum thing and pivot on the first joint or first bone of my index finger, like this. Kind of make the hey, you know, hang 10 or whatever that is. No worries, Jenna. But I like that lick. And you can make it a blues scale if you go, which is kind of cool. It actually kind of feels good to reach that first finger down. So what I'm doing there, to make it a blues scale, I'm adding the flat 5. Don't worry, it won't be quiz on that, and I'm just telling you what it's called. If this may be the 17th time you've heard me say the flat 5, and this might be the first time you understand what that means. That's why I kind of say these things, because if you're like me, you know, you learn certain ways, and I may not have taught the flat 5 or the blues scale or something in the context or the way that you need to hear it. But basically what we're doing is we're going, this is the root of the E, or the A, sorry, A, C, D, E flat, E. You can think of it as D sharp, doesn't matter. Yeah, you could play, yeah, this could be played over anything in the key of A minor in the key of C. I could play this over all 3 of these chords. And so feel this. It's like third finger on the 12th fret of the 4th string. I'm sorry, 5th string. Then first finger on the 10th fret of the 4th string. Third finger on the 12th fret, and then go to the 13th fret on the 4th string, and then reach down here and get that E note, which is at the 5th, or sorry, on the 3rd string at the 9th fret. Sorry, all these numbers. And it creates this kind of reach here. See what I'm doing here? I got my pinky on the E flat, and I'm reaching, getting this E. You see here, it was easier. But the idea is to take some of these licks that you do here and move them here in a different position. And so you've got, if you're up here, you can do that lick that you like. If you like that lick, you got it here. But that's not the only reason to do that. That would be like, well, why don't I just go down here? And you have a valid point. But you might find something here that you couldn't do as easy. That's harder to do because I got to lay down the pinky to do that. But if you let, that's kind of cool. So by moving a lick to a different scale, the same lick to a different scale, you might find a new way to resolve it, a new way to play through it, a new way to voice it, or a note that's easier to grab, like that. See that? I wouldn't even know how to begin to do this lick. I mean, I never played that lick before, I just made it up. But it's really cool. And I'm not even actually going, I could go to the, and that, is not impossible in that position, but when you go from the flat 5 right to the 7th, that's really difficult here. And then to bend that is impossible. So it's kind of a fun, you know, lick. I like that lick. I might use it in context. Kind of fun. You know, I could see building a solo just on that lick alone. Anyway, the whole point is to kind of embrace the licks or the phrases or the riffs or the chunks that are more fun to play in the different positions. Okay, so let's continue on this. I'm going to go back to my clean sound, I think. Come on. There you go. Okay, so we have the bottom 3 strings are 10, 12, 10, 12, 10, 12. And then if you want, just reach your first finger down and grab that 9th fret on the 3rd string, and then go ahead and play the 12th fret with your 3rd finger again, okay? You don't need to shift position. If we were to shift to the 9th position, okay, and when I say 9th position, that means your first finger is assigned the 9th fret, your second finger is assigned the 10th fret, your 3rd finger is assigned the 11th fret, and your 4th finger is assigned the 12th fret, okay? So any note that occurs on that, so that means that you would play, if you were playing this positionally at the 9th fret, or 9th position, that your first finger would be playing that note and your pinky would be playing this note. Like that. But if you want, without actually having to shift your hand, you can just reach down, grab that note, and stay in 10th position. So you could think of it as kind of an altered 10th position, where your first finger gets the 10th fret and the 9th fret. Your second finger would get, and it's not even used, your second finger, but your second finger would get the 11th fret. Your 3rd finger would get the 12th fret, and your pinky would get anything on the 13th fret, which is just this note here. Okay? Again, you see the scale right here that we're looking at. I boxed it. Okay? So you can see pentatonic, what I call pentatonic number 3. It's the 3rd one down. Well, and that's where Vito is asking how to break the pentatonic sound when using pentatonics. Well, one of the things is to then, once you know the pentatonic, however you choose to play it, then you learn the blues scale around it. Then you learn the diatonic scale around it. So I'm basically playing a C scale. I mean, if I'm starting a D note, but if I start down here, it's actually a kind of a fun scale to play because it's symmetrical. At least the top 4 strings are. I'm playing, so play with me here, 4th string, 9, 10, 12. And do that again on the next string, 9, 10, 12. And then go up a fret and play 10, 12, 13. And then the same thing on the next string. So that snippet of the major scale is all wrapped around this. The other thing I noticed when I'm playing this scale is one of my favorite minor arpeggios to play. An arpeggio is just playing every note in the minor triad. So check this out. Not easy, but you can do it with me. So play the A with the pinky on the 12th fret of the 5th string. Sorry. Then we're gonna play C there on the 10th fret of the 4th string. Then the E, here on the 9th fret of the third string. Then the 10th fret of the second string, we'll play the A, and then we have C here at the 8th fret of the first string, and then E. So we have and that's just a pure A minor chord. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yep. If you add a second, then you get the minor. You get the or if you add the flat. See, we're in the key of A minor, so that's relative to C. So we'd want to play. If you're thinking. Want to play the flat 6, which is the F note. So it's the thinking here, Vito, is that if you learn a 5-note scale, you add 1 note and you can create a blues scale. You take that note away, add 2 more notes, and then you create a minor scale. And a diatonic scale, a 7-note scale. So that way you get away from that pentatonic thing, okay? That way, if you, penta means 5, if you have 6 notes, it's not gonna sound as pentatonic. The other thing that you can do, we talked about this in the previous lessons too, is to not play the scale necessarily in order. Like if you skip a string, I've done solos on things where I've thought so obtusely about how to play over it that even though I was playing just a pure A minor scale, it didn't sound anything like A minor. I'll give you an example, I'm going to show you. I like to show you how I'm thinking, and I don't expect you to be able to do this, but like for for this example, I could play a C major scale, which is kind of wrapped around this pentatonic scale. And we've talked about moving pentatonic scales around to create some weird tensions or whatever, or creating chromatic things. But but without changing keys, without getting outside, I can sound like I'm playing outside. Like for example, that major scale, I call these threepers. I've got videos on these. You can look them up. Put the number 3 and then PERS. In search, and you could even search Strahle and threepers. Threepers. We don't have a lot of people here because it's a holiday, which is weird because I would think that might create more people, but anyway, a bigger audience. But I'm doing 3 notes per string. But if I just play the bottom 2 notes of each of those strings, it doesn't sound anything like anything remotely major scaly, It sounds weird. So let me play along with the track here so you can hear what I'm talking about. I'm not leaving the key at all. That's all in the key, but it just sounds like it's this weird, mysterious scale. Now, if I did pentatonic, it would sound like this. Or I could do the top 2 notes of every string. And what it does is it just gives you some different melodies that are going to be, okay, I'm going to limit myself. It's a lot like that book, the advancing guitarist, where he says, okay, now only play on the 4th string and the 2nd string. And that's another thing. If you play your pentatonics just on, you're going to have. I'm skipping 2 strings. And that gets you out of your box. I mean, I'm just playing a pentatonic scale, but it just sounds cool. It just sounds like disjointed almost. But you don't have to, like, you don't want to do it too much, because then it just sounds like you're this weird, you know, disjointed guy. But you kind of go back and forth between blues scales and diatonic scales and pentatonic scales, and that can kind of get you out of your pentatonic thing. What you might want to do is take a snippet of the pentatonic scale. We're working on pentatonic number 3 today. So what I'm doing there is I'm playing the 10th fret, 13th fret, 10th fret, 12th fret. It's a little challenging because of that pinky. I'm just playing it up and down. Good afternoon, Sadie. Oh, nice. Where are you? Where are you off to, Holly? You're traveling somewhere? Did I miss that? Did you say that earlier? Oh, there you are. Okay. What did you say earlier? See, I'm looking for your avatar here. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, apologies for being late. Oh, you're in a hotel Seattle for the week. Wow. Oh, he's got a conference he goofs off at. Nice. I understand now. You don't need to explain. Okay, so with that little snippet, I can add the blues, right? And what I'm doing there is I'm going 10, 13, 10, 11, 12, 11, 10, 13. Or you can just do the flat. You can just do the flat, the E flat, and not hit the E's. Check that out. It would be like, okay, 10, 13, 10, and I apologize if you're playing a classical guitar or a steel string guitar. All right, Pepper, if you're playing your classical, this is kind of a little bit of a, getting that pinky in there on the 13th fret's a little tough, but wait till next week when we do pentatonic number 4. So you can do both, you know, you can do either one of those things. You can even do, that's kind of cool where I'm playing the flat 5 and the 5. Or I play the A, C, D, E flat, back to D. Or play all 5 notes. That's the beginning of take 5, right? I'm not used to playing it this way. Whatever it is. So, yeah. I can't remember. It's been so long since I played it. Dave Brubeck was a genius. So, okay, so there's the pentatonic. I mean, the pentatonic and the blues. We got two there. And then the diatonic would be 10, 13, or 10, 12, 13, 10, 12, 13. And that F is going to be, it may not always work. It might only work over the F chord, but you can certainly go to it. It always sounds good to do that EF, EF kind of thing. Okay, so we got the pentatonic, we got the blues, and we got the diatonic, all in this top two strings of this. And so let me solo using just those notes, and you see if you can hear where I go from the pentatonic to the diatonic or to the blues. See if you can hear when it happens. Okay. I can even combine it. I could do like where I combine kind of the diatonic and the blues. That's a little weird getting that flat 5 and the F in there. But here's a little trick. This is probably not super applicable, but if you're doing triplet 16ths, for example, and you want to start on beat 4 and you want to land on beat 1, you need 7 notes. So sometimes when that's only 6 notes. So you add that chromatic, and now you've got that 7th note that allows you to start on 4 and end on 1 if you're doing triplets. So like passage. Okay. It doesn't really work because of the that's better. Ending on the 1 chord. So it's just, that's not necessarily something you think about. It's probably something you just naturally, I don't know. I kind of can do it probably 50% of the time in the spur of the moment, in a live situation. I can hit that downbeat when I want to hit it. Sometimes I'm a little early. If you're working your way up the fretboard and you realize, oh shoot, I need more notes, you can add those chromatic scales in there. So which the arpeggio, that or the A minor sweep, essentially. That's kind of a sweep thing. That was a while ago. So, yeah, all that is just A, B, C, D, E, F. I'm just playing the alphabet. That's one of those things where it's probably, they say if you can play it slow, you can play it fast. I'm not sure exactly. I understand what that means, but it probably means you could, yes, if you can play it slow, you could eventually play it faster. So what you might want to do, you can apply the same things that I do when I practice my Segovia scales, and that's you play you pick a tempo, you play 8th notes, and then you play triplets, and then you play 16th notes. And actually the one that's probably going to get you to speed faster is to play the dotted 8th to the 16th and dotted 8th, 16th, dotted 8th, 16th, which would sound like this. So what I'm doing is one E and a 2 E and so 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4, like that. And what that does, that exercise, instead of just trying to do 16ths or whatever, that tricks your right hand and your left hand into playing faster. It's like, oh, it's only 2 notes. So it doesn't feel like it's so fast. So 8th notes would sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. And the nice thing about 8th notes with a 6-note phrase is that it kind of, it repeats itself. Like it starts out on beat 1, then it goes back to the beginning on beat 4, then it's on beat 3, and then it's on beat 2, and then it's back on beat 1. So it takes 3 bars for it to kind of turn around on itself, and it sounds more random than it is. I don't know if you notice that, but listen. 2, 3, 4. You can even accent the ones. Then triplets are actually with a 3-note per string thing. A triplet feels almost more natural, but it's going to be more redundant sounding. That's it. Triplet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I might. I might change it just so it doesn't end on the F note. The F note's kind of a weird note to end on. I mean, it works over the F chord, but over the A minor chord and over the G6 chord, it's a little weird. But if I go, I'm still doing a 6-note pattern, but I'm inverting the last 2 notes to give it to make it land on a note that makes a little bit more sense, maybe. Anyway, you could mix it up even if you wanted to create an exercise. That's what triplets sound like. Bum, 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 bum. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. How you might count it. That's one way to count them. And the piano's 8 notes. Dun, dun. So it's hard to hear those triplets. And keep them even. Now, 8th note at that tempo will be. So if you can get the 8th note down, if you can get the 8th note down, again, you just adjust your metronome. Like this song, I can slow it down and speed it up because everything here is MIDI. So if I want to, I can take it down to 60 beats per minute. If I want to practice. And then, like I said, the thing that will maybe help you play faster. So let's say you have it down at 60, but try 80 with your metronome and try to do that dotted. Or, sorry. And then what the speed I was doing was, I think the one that you heard was triplet 16ths. So it'd be like, so on the, and what I'm doing there too is I'm also turning my pick a little bit so that I'm not going flat. I'm actually turning it so that it's almost rolling over the string. I like the tone of it better. It's a little rounder, especially. So if you go flat, you're going to get a lot more clicky clacky. So you kind of want to turn it. I don't know if you can see this, but flat would look like this. You want to kind of turn it a little bit. I wouldn't say 45 degrees. You could go 45 degrees, but that gives you a little bit, you know, it's hard to tell on this sound. It's so distorted. But like if I go to more of a bluesy tone, you can really hear it, especially in the more of the middle notes, like here. Like to me, that's clank, 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 clank. But this is like woo, woo, woo. More of a voice. It's a little thinner. If it's flat, you turn it. I feel like you can go faster too if you're just kind of rolling over, you know, instead of having the pick hit the string like this, it's more hitting it like this. Not like that. Not totally, you know. Some guys will do that though. Some guys pick like almost like that. But that's... That a lot of the fast players I notice they kind of twist their pick. I actually noticed it originally with bluegrass mandolin players. I'm like, oh wow, it sounds so much better if you, because with mandolin you're plucking two strings, and if you go flat against it, it's gonna be this like double click, so it's even more brittle. But if you turn the pick sideways, like 45 degrees, you get this nice kind of you get this nice round sound, and then it also, I think, aids in playing faster. Instead of like, this feels like more like I'm digging out of a hole. This feels more like I'm rolling over, like when you remember back in the day when you drove your car and you went into the gas station, you roll over that hose that would make the bell ring. That's kind of the feeling this is. It's like you're just rolling over it. Click, 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 click. I know it's pretty hard to hear over the microphone on the camera, but yeah, 20 to 30. Yeah, 45 is probably too much, but yeah. Yeah, and it's a triplet, so the I don't even know how you would count 16th note triplets, to be honest. I just said 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Faster than you can count it. You know, at least with 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 16th notes, you can kind of fit it in at a slow tempo, but at a fast tempo you can't. But that's all I was doing. So this was the downbeat of every, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Of course, here, I got delays. Oh wait, what's the, oh, that's blues. Okay, here we go. So the goal is to land on that note every beat. The other thing you can do too is you can pick a little closer to the bridge, and that gives you more resistance. If you, I mean, you'll notice that trying to pick fast right here at the 12th fret is, you know, up here the 15th fret or 12th fret or whatever is impossible because the string's too squishy. But the closer you are to the bridge, the tighter the string, and it gives you more resistance so that you don't have to push it so hard. You'll see a lot of guys move their hand this way. You can do triplet. That's 16th. Oh. No, actually, that was faster. That was 32nd note. It's weird. It lands on a different note every time. But if I go to 32nd, one, two, three, four, five, six, 1, 2, 3, 4. The triplet. The hard one is like 5, to try to do a grouping of 5 evenly, because 16ths, 30 seconds, those are common triplets, but like how it would be. You gotta find 5 notes that, like, let's see if I can do it. That's cool though. Ah. Fives are weird because you don't normally hear grouping of 5. So it would be like 5 16th notes with a bracket over the top with the number 5 written above. So you're playing 5 notes in the space of 4. So it's like you got to play each note 20% faster. It's kind of a weird thing, and the only way to kind of get it down is to do a 5-note pattern and then just try to keep it really even so you can get used to hearing the 5. 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 1 2 3 4 5 because it's not a normal occurring rhythm in music. It's unusual. So. Oh yeah, no, I've heard it, Sam. So I was kind of bummed because last week I got an email from like the big contractor here in LA, and they asked if I play. They were wanting me to play on a movie, but playing just Greek bouzouki, and Sam, post that on the in the Discord, and I'll check it out there. I think I've seen that one. I think you shared that before. I knew it was not original. I knew that melody. It's such an interesting scale. I think it's a double harmonic minor scale is what I think it's called. Or, when you get to those weird scales, they oftentimes will have multiple names. Egyptian minor or whatever, and it's like I don't know what that is. And it's like, oh, double harmonic. I still don't know what that is. But that's a crazy scale because it's got an E, an F, and a D sharp in it. So it's like, let's see. Let me go with more like this sound. I don't know. We'll see if this is better. I mean, he never plays those 3 notes together. And again, if you watch him play too, I think you can see he's kind of turning his picking up. I think it's double harmonic minor in the sense that it's like you've got A harmonic minor, and then what's the other harmonic minor? And then kind of E harmonic minor, but not really. This is an F. There's no. I don't know if that's the right name for it, but I think I've had it explained to me once, and just once, and that's not enough for me to retain it. Yeah, one, flat 2, 3, 4, 5, flat 6, and major 7. Yeah, yep, that's right. It's an odd scale. Just tuned in. Miserlou, yep, his lick is played. It's a good day. Yeah, it's totally off subject. It's like nothing about Miserlou, that scale is at all like a A minor pentatonic. So what we're talking about is, in fact, I have the original one here, so I can show you that. Boom, there it is. So we're talking about what I call pentatonic scales, the 5 pentatonic scales. Everybody calls them that, but I give them the number. You know, I call the main one, the one in this case at the 5th fret that everybody learns. The first one everybody learns is the pentatonic number 1, and the one just above it is pentatonic number 2, and then the one we're working on today is pentatonic number 3. One of the things that I, you know, like I said, this. Sorry, here we go. This lick, you know, okay, that's pretty easy in pentatonic number 1. That one's a little tough. It's a little tough there, but it's a lot it's easier here. So if you're doing something like this, you know, it's a little bit easier, I feel like, than this one. Same lick, but it's harder to bend that second string. And then you got to get down here, and then you got to get the pinky. But here, it plays exactly like this one. So if you... And then you can really easily bend. You don't get any easier than bending the second string at the 13th fret. I mean, the thing you have to worry about is overbending them going sharp. But then you also have this, now the first string, you got these great notes here, so you go. See there, you can't really go anywhere. Oh, that you were, this is the lick you're, yeah, so it's a very common lick. Even like that one, I mean, it's totally right out of, except for being E. That was right out of Freebird. But here so I'm bending the third string at the 12th fret up to 14. So I'm bending G up to A, and then I'm going to an A note. So you can really, in fact, if anything, you could be flat, because you're going to finish it off here. You don't want to go sharp. Sometimes I'll hear young guitar players go a little too, again, the strings are the loosest at the 12th fret than they are anywhere else. So if you're used to playing lower, you know, and having to push really hard, well, when you get to the 12th fret, you don't have to push so hard. And then I've got this note here, this is the A, and then I'm just plucking this E, I'm sorry, the C note, the 13th fret on the second string, and then pulling it off. Which is the same lick as this in pentatonic number 1, but that one's so much work. And this is the root note, so this is the A. You can see the R's there. So we're in pentatonic number 3 where the red box is. We're inside the red box, got the root right here, the A note. But I've got these 2 notes on the first string that I can get more range out of. You can even do that. Like, there's so many ways. I mean, you could just make up ways to play through scales. And if you use all 12 notes, you play through all 6 strings and doing a pattern, it's going to sound like an exercise, okay? But you can still come up with different patterns and just use little bits of them. Like a pattern I like to do is kind of a double hit and then down the scale. So I'm doing like a triplet. Right, I'm doing groups of 3. And if you want to get really familiar with, like in this case, pentatonic number 3, again, my name, pentatonic number 3, you can do patterns like that. Will help you get familiar. Groups of 3. Groups of 4. Groups of 5. Not that I practice those a lot, but if with the back to the group of 3, what I might do is I might double hit each of the first note of the groups of 3, so it sounds like this. Now I have something that I could do maybe in a as 16th notes. Da 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 da, like that. So. Now, how many repetitions equals an exercise versus a melodic idea? That's kind of going to be up to you. Maybe 4. If you do this lick more than 4 times, it's going to start to sound like an exercise. So, for example, so I did 4 of them. Even two is enough to kind of set up to give you a motif that you can play off of. Again, that's one of the tricks to soloing, is to try to come up with a very simple motif that you can build on and reference throughout the solo. I mean, here's the thing. I say this all the time. We spend 95% of our time practicing soloing. But when we're actually gigging on the guitar, we're spending 95% of our time playing rhythm. So we're all working on the wrong thing. But rhythm is almost often defined. So like if there's a riff or there's a chord progression, you kind of know what you're going to do rhythmically. If there's a drum groove, you kind of know what you're going to do. It's the soloing thing where you have the trillions and trillions and trillions of options that you're going to need AI computers to come up with solo ideas. So, oh, Aslan had to run. Oh, yeah, classical. Yeah, without the bend, it's also very, very classic. Pure pentatonic. Oh, the high one? yeah, so I'm not going to the 5, I'm just going to the flat 5. Or just, and this one, I'm pulling off. You could pluck every note. Everyone's done with lunch. Watch the count go up. We'll see. What's that at now? Oh, it jumped. Yeah, you're right. It got to 24, which is cool. We hit 30. What did we hit after the Paul David video dropped? Do we have any Paul David subscribers here? I don't know if anyone here is with Paul. This video is still getting a lot of comments. That's his video that he came out with afterwards. What was it that he did? Oops. Let's see, where is he here? Mute. And I think I found they changed it so that I can adjust how often I want ads. So I put it every 30 minutes. We'll see if it does it automatically. That will save me a minute every week. So let's see. This video, 463,000 views with Paul. It's not bad. That's pretty good, actually. His newest video, though, let's see, in order, has almost 1 million views. But whenever he talks about famous riffs, he's going to get more views. He put Justin Bieber's face on the card for this one, and I think that's gonna like, nope, I'm not gonna watch that, you know. And it's funny because that's a lot of the comments were something like that. Were like, oh, you know, I'm not, if I see Justin Bieber, I'm not gonna watch it, or I wasn't gonna watch this, but I'm so glad I did, kind of thing. So. Let's go over the blues scale version of this, okay? So we want to play all the blues notes. The cool thing about it is, in this pentatonic number 1, we have 2 blues notes, just 2 E flats in the range of this, range of this shape. But when we get up to here, we've got 3 E flats that are in range. This one, 11th fret on the bottom string and 11th fret on the top string, and then we also have 13th fret on the 4th string. So you could just play those 4 notes, I'm sorry, those 3 notes over the solo, and that would sound like this. Interesting how it doesn't sound anything like the blues, right? It's like, okay, that's just the blues note. But in the context of the pentatonic scale, we add that E flat to all the pentatonic scale. And it's really handy up here. But again, those E flats by themselves. Pinch harmonics. Every time I do that, people are like, how do you do that? so funny. Yeah, that's just one of those things that the first time, hey, Tom, what's going on? I like your name. The first time you do a pinch harmonic, it's always by accident. You never do it on purpose. You're like, wait, what did I just do? That was really cool. You can't figure it out. You're like, dang it, what did I do? It's true for everyone. It's like, can anyone? Yes, anyone can see. Play an A note if you can see me. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm maybe mainly pulling it down, Sam. I don't know. I don't want to argue about it. But I'm nowhere near the edge of the fretboard. But I'm not pulling down on the E string. That's impossible. You can't. You're gonna, like you said. But there's no way. I mean, unless you're trying to do a really big, deep vibrato, you're not going to get off the edge of the. But yeah, I'm going back and forth. I'm not. It feels like I'm pulling down, but I'm doing both. I'm going down and up. And a lot of it is getting it on the tip of your finger. But there's no way you can pull down on the first string. And, you know, when you're a beginner, yeah, that happens a lot. But you can even do the if you want, you can even do the kind of the hang 10 thing too. You know, with it pivoting on this part of your hand. Oh, somebody's trying to call me. And it's probably Chinese something. Germany. Who's calling me from Germany? Yeah, Chinese. I love how they just use random phone numbers. So I don't know who they're trying to sell. They got bad information if they're speaking Chinese to me because I don't understand a word of it. Shishi, maybe. Thank you. Hung Hao is very good, I think. Yeah, Carl can do that. Yeah, I only do half-step bends with my first finger. Carl was my teacher back in the 80s. I took guitar lessons from Carl back in, oh gosh, 80. I took my first lesson from him in 82, believe it or not, in his apartment in Van Nuys. And then I couldn't really afford it, so I only took a lesson every now and then. And he's really into the intervallic stuff, you know, outside stuff. He's a great player. I mean, and he practices every day. I mean, he's like totally keeping his chops up and everything. He's big in Europe, big in Holland, Amsterdam, Holland, because isn't he Dutch? Is that a Dutch name or is that? I think it's Dutch, yeah. Another thing you can do, this is just an aside, what you can do is you can start to see the next pentatonic up. Particularly as you get up the fretboard. It's hard to do here because it's pretty big reach. But let's say I'm here doing this, okay? That creates a nice wide interval here from the D to the G. You have to kind of change how you're fingering the C note here on the second string. But you could do that on all the strings. This one's a little tougher. But it's a lot easier to grab this note here than to grab it there. And you can get kind of a bigger interval. One of the things, a lick that is this. So what I'm doing is I'm going up 2 notes in the scale. I'm taking this G up to the A, which I already have an A here, but I'm playing 2 A's. And I'm playing this D up here. You get a lot of A's, but it sounds kind of cool. But when you're looking up at the next note or the next note in the scale on that string, you can get you'll get these redundant things. A lot of times, if you have to play fourths, like I could play this. That's pretty hard, but to play, and this is not easy either. But I can play those 4 notes a lot faster that way than I can, on adjacent strings. I don't know if you can hear this. It's too fuzzy, I think. Hold on. Like that. If somebody wrote that in music really fast, it's like, maybe if I use my fingers, I could do it. The hybrid picking. If they don't want it to ring out, though, against each other, fourths are the hardest thing to play on guitar. But a lot of times I'll if I want to hear it. And no one showed up. Oh no. Poor Carl. Did you get a private lesson then, essentially? You went to a clinic. I used to do clinics back in the 90s for Maranatha Music, and I'd have 200 people in, but they weren't there to see me. They didn't know who I was, but it was, churches would send them there to it. Oh, thank you, Sam. Churches would send people there, so they would pay their way, and there would be like, I've told you this, the first couple that I did, I was glad they weren't very well attended because I was so nervous. I think I got like 20 people. And the first one I think I did in, I think it was Phoenix. There were like 20 guitar players in there. And then the next one, I think it was Detroit, and there were 20, and I was, again, still kind of nervous. Oh yeah, Sam, so I was talking about the Greek bouzouki thing. I had to turn down that session just because I said, do they need... I prefer to do sessions from home. I don't like really being with an orchestra. It's just too much stress. It's not worth the stress that I'm going to have leading up to it. I'm always, and every time I do them, I'm always like, I'm fine. I knock it out of the park, but the anticipation of it is always worse than the actual gig. So I said, if you get in a bind, let me talk to the composer. I didn't know who the composer was. They didn't say. They can send me the music. I can do an example of what I can play. Because I actually played a lot of Greek bouzouki this week. Um, I played a lot of Greek bouzouki this week, but it was fairly simple melodies. And I was playing actually with this pick. It was made out of a quarter, and it really had a really bright. It was for a game, so it had to have kind of an odd quality to it. So I used that pick to kind of give it a super bright. I mean, Greek bouzouki is already pretty bright, so then to make it even brighter like that, it was kind of cool. They really liked the sound. So yeah, he could play for hours. He's got so many. He writes so many like acoustic things. I don't even know what he's up to. I'm sure it was hard during COVID for him. Tour. I mean, he always has amazing gear. Just Thousand Oaks, Riverboat, Carl Ryan Band, Riverboat Sky Release concert in Thousand Oaks, September 21st. So coming up, what day of the week is that? At the Sheer Forum, about 400 seats. Okay. What do they want for tickets? 44 bucks. Sold out a few, not much though. So yeah, 36 to 54. Yeah, I don't really go out much. If I go out, I'm gonna go see friends or something. Yeah, in fact, I've got, let's see, Wednesday, Burn is playing, Bernie Dressel with a bunch of friends. So I should go to that. I mean, it's only $15. Probably a 2-drink minimum though, which is always a drag because it's like, you know, I can't drink 2 drinks. 1 drink and I'm pretty like sleepy, which is not good for driving. Although the club is really close to here, it's like 20 minutes away or something. But if I can't have Diet Coke that late, you know, I'll be up all night. So it's like normally, you know, if I were a 2-drink minimum, I'd just go, oh, give me 2 Diet Cokes and I'll pay $10 a piece, whatever, you know, to kill off that 2-drink minimum. I don't know if they have a drink minimum though. Good morning, Sissix. 6'9". Oh, that's right, 6'9". Let's see. Yeah, what time is it? Oh, it's 10:30 already. Dang, going fast. Yeah, but lots of great comments on that Paul David video. I'm almost done. I keep saying this. Maybe today I'll finish it. I'm just editing. I don't have to film anymore. But I did a video on the ETA Strat on the Squire here on this thing. I cleaned the fretboard off. People were complaining about that, so I cleaned it off. I never notice it. I don't notice how dirty my fretboards are because I can't. I'm not looking at my hands ever. So, but it's funny because when I was cleaning it off, it smelled like cigarette smoke, and I'm like, well, nobody smokes here. Nobody plays it. So Bob's asking, yeah, it could potentially affect me. I think what will happen, again, I'm not. The strike is when the writers went on strike in 2007, all the networks just kind of started doing reality shows. You don't need writers for reality shows, so they struck themselves out of gigs. I'm not. Yeah, so the music stuff I'm not sure exactly. So when music for film is typically done in what's called post, And the film score is almost the last thing that's done. Occasionally, you'll have a director that wants to have the score done, like he wants to actually have music composed that he and the editors can work on and have it. But usually, like John Williams, everybody, it's the last thing done. So they get the final print of the movie, and then they start writing the music to it. And they may have theme ideas and stuff already worked out. They may have already met with it. Well, they've done what's called a spotting session with a director, where the director goes, I want music here, 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 here. And they go through, and I want something majestic here, and I want something sad here, and I want something funny here, or whatever. And that's called a spotting session. In a major film, you could do multiple spotting sessions. And then there'll always be notes, like you send music, and and you'll send music in sample form to the director to approve, and then if he likes it, then now you can send that off to the copyist to have charts made so that the orchestra can play it when you get to that point. But it's done post. So for the film scoring stuff, a lot of that stuff's on hold because the movies aren't being finished because the actors are now on strike. The scripts may be done, but usually, even on a movie, definitely TV shows, but even in a movie, they may make adjustments to the script, and that's all done by writers. And if the writer's on strike, they can't make adjustments to the script as they are filming. So even the writer's strike would stop a film production potentially. It would definitely stop TV production. And the thing with games voices, if anyone's going to go to AI to do all the gaming voices, it'll be games, because you rarely notice if that's Tom Cruise's voice on that or whatever. So hey, common people, I'm glad you're lurking. No problem. Yeah, right. Deep Purple joke here. The smoke, it smelled like cigarette smoke. So I'm assuming that the grunge on that fretboard was from before I bought it, which just tells you how dirty that fretboard was. It took me a while to clean it, that's for sure. But yeah, so it might affect me, but like I said, I feel like that's a place where you're going to have a lot of actors lose a lot of work if they join it. And so I'm not, and the thing is here, the unions are talking about trillion-dollar companies or whatever. Yeah, Apple and Amazon are trillion-dollar companies. None of the others are. Disney's not a trillion-dollar company. They're not even close. In fact, Apple's probably going to buy Disney. But maybe they won't now if they don't want to deal with the strike stuff. Apple and Amazon, they don't make any money on their streaming services. Those are lost leaders. Those are vanity projects for both Apple and Amazon. Apple's business is in phones and in computers and software, things like that. Amazon's in Amazon stores, and so they're the ones that are probably more likely to settle with the unions than the other studios, who depend on every penny that they make to keep their doors open. So I feel like even though when the unions are yelling about trillion-dollar companies, the $2 trillion companies that they're talking about probably wouldn't have a problem settling because they're not making any money on this stuff anyway. They hope to maybe someday Apple probably hopes someday to make money on Apple Plus. Maybe they hope, but you think about how many subscribers they have, how much they make a month, but they produce all this original content. It's very expensive to produce. I forget how much. It's insane how much they're paying somebody I know or a friend of a friend that's something like $30,000 a day to rent his house in Pasadena for a TV show. And they basically rented it for 6 months. You imagine? $30,000 a day for 6 months? That's crazy. And the neighbors got money too because they were using the yards and stuff. So the neighbors were happy. So that's all good, Dennis. It's in the video. When I post the video, you'll see. I forget. I used lighter fluid for one thing. That was what my guitar tech recommended. So I would have had him do it, but I couldn't have filmed it. So this way I filmed it, and you can see me kind of in fast motion doing it. Yeah, yeah. That's the other thing. All the streamers are just going to go to Britain. I mean, as it is, the musicians union in LA is pretty much useless because they price themselves out of the market, and all the big film score stuff is done in London, and they actually pay those musicians more than they pay in LA. But one of the problems with LA is, like, if it's the union thing, they have to pay. Like when I do a union session, they put 12% into my pension. So if the session's $1,000, then they got to write another check for $120 to put in my pension. And it's like, I mean, that's great, but my pension, I don't have enough of a pension to make it. It's not going to be the pension. My pension, let's put it this way, will be maybe not even a nice dinner out every month. I don't think my pension is up to $100 a month yet. And I could take it now, but I'm going to keep waiting because you just never know. I get more union. I don't do a lot of union sessions. I'm in the union, but I don't do a lot of union sessions. So, yeah, so I don't know that it's going to affect the game music so much because I'm not exactly sure when game music is done in relation to the game and all that. It's really, really long process. It's a much longer process than making a movie. And I know, like with Gordy and Steven, when they did Star Wars, I think they had to create 7 hours of music for the last Star Wars game. I worked for Gordy last week, and yeah, good thing I don't smell lighter fluid. Yeah, I need a Tom Strahle signature Squire Strat. Yeah, I don't know. I don't need a Tom Strahle signature or anything. I don't think they could pay me. That would be, what could I make on that? $1 per 12 cents per Strat sold. Nobody really knows who I am. Although it's funny because I really think that Paul and Beato and Tim Pierce, they make more money selling their guitar school programs than they do on their YouTube channel. My YouTube revenue, even though my subscriber count is up, the revenue's down. So, I feel like, the algorithms and what the payouts and Google and YouTubers are completely dependent on ad revenue, and ad agencies will go, okay, we're seeing returns on this and we'll put more money there. We're not seeing returns on this. We can put less money there. And the more people that start doing YouTube channels and try to make it rich, whatever, then that kind of waters down the residuals from that. So I'm not complaining. I don't do it. If I were working really hard on my YouTube and I was only making a few $100s a month, I would be pretty upset. But I hang out with you guys, and I have videos that do pretty well. Let's see. Well, let's see. I don't want that. Let me look up and see how my last few videos have done. A little bit better. I think my most recent videos got views because of the Paul Davids thing. People will click on your most recent videos. So my mandolin video is at 2,300 views. That's really not enough to generate any real revenue. I can tell you how much I've made off of it. Let's see, where is it? Analytics. Estimated revenue, $7. Okay, so you do the math. 2,300 views equals $7. In the last 48 hours, I've had 19 views of that. I think people like it. It's 100% positive, which is cool. I like that. Most of my videos are 100% positive. Why so many guitars? That one is 98.9%. Somebody was unhappy with the fact that I have too many guitars. So I've got the previous one was the triple dive bomb thing, and that one's at 2,200 views. Again, 100% revenue on that. So yeah, it's the amount of time it took me to make these videos. So on this one, weird. It jumped up with Paul. That's funny. This one I've made $2 on, so there's no way it's worth my time. If YouTube had to pay minimum wage to their creators, they would stop doing YouTube. because they couldn't afford it. So, do you check your intonation by playing the note at the 12th fret? Yes. Basically, that's... oh, sorry. Is the action being high? Well, one of the things you can do with an acoustic guitar, one of the things you can check before you buy it. So if you bought it online, it's not, you can't really do anything. But you want to look at the guitar like this and see if the bridge is coming up. Like if there's a hump here in the middle, that means that the tension of the strings is pulling the bridge up, and that's a poorly constructed guitar. It very rarely happens to a well-made guitar. It might be up a little bit, it might be intentionally up a little bit, like archtop guitars have that intentionally. But if it's pulling up, then the action is going to go up here. So you're going to have, the strings are going to be up, and you'll see a lot of guitars in cheap places. You can check the neck and you go, well, the neck looks fine, but the action's really high. Well, then if you look at the bridge and you can see a gap under here, you know that, oh, okay, it's coming unglued or it was screwed in or whatever. It's fixable if the bridge is coming up. If the wood is warped, that's not worth fixing. If the bridge is coming up, a guitar tech, you can put screws in there and they can tighten it down and re-glue it or whatever. Again, you might end up spending more on that repair than you did on the guitar, and so therefore it wouldn't be worth it. Yeah, so that's one of the things you can look at before you buy an acoustic instrument is the top. I did a video on that. I did it when I lived here. Let's see, acoustic unboxing, how to string a high strung, tips for buying your first acoustic. Let's see how many views this one has. I've made $10 on this. I had no views in the last 24 or 48 hours. Hilarious. 3,400 views, so really not many. Let me give you the. All of a sudden, I'll get views on this. But here are my tips on buying an acoustic, your first acoustic. And one of the things I think I say in there is, you know, if you have a friend that's a really good guitar player, or even an adequate guitar player, you can bring them, because it's really hard to hear what an acoustic sounds like when you're playing it and not in front of it, because the microphone's going to be here. Although Paul Davids was messing around with miking over the ear and here. The problem for me with miking, I've done that over the head, but you're breathing. My nose can whistle sometimes if I have a sinus thing going on. You'll hear a pitch, a whistle, and it sounds like feedback. So that's not going to work. And the nice thing about that, though, is when you play it back, it's like, oh, that's what I hear. That's what I hear when I play guitar. But I want to hear the body, and so sometimes it's good to take someone with you to check out that. And then yes, the 12th fret test. That's another thing. A lot of times, though, with old strings, the intonation may be off. So, you know, one of the things you can do if your intonation's off a little bit is you put new strings on to start there. And you can adjust it. You can't really move let me get rid of this. Oops. Okay. You can't really move this, but a good guitar tech can file it so that the string can sit a little further this way or further that way, and if it makes enough of an adjustment. Like this one comes with a little notch here on the second string. I'm not in tune, I'm close, but the intonation's fine. So what I'm doing is I'm hitting the harmonic of the 12th fret, and then I'm pushing down the 12th fret and comparing those two notes. And if it's sharp, that means this distance from here to here is too short and it needs to be lengthened. If it's flat, that means the distance from the 12th fret to the nut or the saddle is too long and it needs to be shortened. And that's easy to do with an electric guitar because the saddles move left and right. But on acoustic guitar, it's not as easy to do. But that's one of the things you want to check for sure. And then the neck should have a slight bow to it, like this. Not a backward bow. That would be concave. That would be fretting out. The other thing I do if I'm buying an acoustic instrument or actually any guitar, is I go ahead and just play every fret. All the way up. And do it on every string. And listen for any fretting out. If there's a fret, if it's buzzing on any one of those, then that means probably one of the frets came unglued and is starting to push up. And that's a fixable thing. But it also could be, if it's buzzing, it could also be an indication that your neck has a bow in it or a warp in it, or the wood is starting to get messed up. Again, on a high-end instrument, it's not going to probably be an issue. I don't really have any other than that. What's that called? The Jim Dandy. I don't have any cheap acoustics. All my acoustics are actually pretty expensive guitars. Unlike electrics, I like cheap electrics, but I'm not a fan of the cheap acoustic because of so many issues. If that makes sense. Yeah, David. Yeah, that's the thing. You're going in England, you're going to get a lot more work. You're in Scotland, you're going to get a lot more work because of the actors, on strike. They're not allowed to do commercials. I don't think they're even allowed to do auditions, which is just ridiculous. Because here's the thing. The writers were the ones that went on strike. The actors went on strike in sympathy and also because their contracts, I guess, are coming up or something. But the writers are still writing. You can't stop a writer from writing. So you've got writers that maybe they were writing for, CSI. And they're like, maybe they didn't even want to go on strike, but, it's a majority vote and the majority voted for a strike. I don't know what the vote was, but I guarantee you the writers aren't stopping writing, but the actors kind of have to stop acting. So it's kind of unfair, in my opinion, that, I don't know why the actors would join the writers. We'll see. It's apparently, California has lost, I think, $4 or $5 billion or $6 billion already in revenues, but California doesn't have a voice in this. And in fact, if Apple buys Disney, Apple may leave California. Apple and Disney are both in California. They may ultimately leave California. There's nothing that California can do to force the hand, really. The government can't really force anything. And like I said, I don't think Apple and Amazon Prime, I don't think either one of them are the problem. They probably would agree to the contract because they're in the whole business just for fun more than they are for profit. But if you look at the major studios, then so, and as far as the game stuff goes, I was really, really busy this week. So there might be a lot of stuff ramping up because the voice actors are supposed to go on strike at the end of this month, or they're going to vote on the 25th. So maybe I'm going to be really busy ramping up to it. We'll see. But the thing is, then I'll just start work. If work starts to slow down, then I'm still going to be writing music for reality shows, and those shows haven't slowed down. They're still in production. And so a big chunk of my revenue is from Discovery and networks like that, where they're doing reality shows, and networks and streaming. So the reality shows are going to get a big boost because they don't use actors and they don't use... okay, thank you. Near the nut. I don't know. I've never. Yeah, I can't imagine why you would. The only thing you would get. So Polly's asking, why do some people mic their acoustics near the nut, first fret? All I can think of is they want the string squeak, but you couldn't. That wouldn't be your only mic. I mean, I've done sessions where literally they put a mic on the body, they put a mic at the 12th fret, and they put a mic up there. And they want to get that kind of stereo spread. So maybe you would take that mic in the middle that's going to get most of the sound, and you put that in the middle, maybe you take the body mic. You might roll off some of this middle mic and use some of the, and then roll off the top of this one and use the bottom from that. The only thing you're going to get from the first fret is going to be string squeak, which the only advantage to that is that it sounds less like a sample if you hear the squeak. But as a player, I'm trying to minimize squeak. Part of the reason I use Elixir strings is because they're coated. I really miss their nylon strings because when you're playing nylon, the strings squeak so much. And there's ways to minimize that. Oh, no, I'm not. No, that mic I'm not using for, I mean, sometimes I double mic, but it's usually to give them options if they ask for, can you mic it with 2 mics so we can get options? But usually I put them in the same position. And I tend to go more about 15th fret, not 12th fret. The mics I use these are fairly small diaphragm mics, so I think they can handle the sound hole a little bit more than the big diaphragm mics. They don't get too woofy, I find. I think I'm probably going to upgrade. You know, this is a great mic. I have no complaints. I get no complaints from composers. This is a Gefell UTM 70S, I think. And then this is what is this, an AKG? Yeah, AKG 451. These are about $600. These are about $1,500 US. And this, actually, the 451 was a lot of the Bieber stuff was done with 451 in the studio, but they also would use like a U87. I'm thinking about getting a U87, but they're like $5,000. And then I'm thinking about one of the Chandler Reds, which are also about $5K, maybe $5,500. I don't know. It's like nobody's complaining about the quality, but you know, I get to the end of the year and I'm like, I need a write-off. And so I might as well upgrade. And the nice thing about buying a nice microphone is that it will keep its value. So like I could probably still get $500 for this and $1,500 for that, you know, but not that I would sell them. You can never have enough mics. So let's see. A made in Mexico Taylor Academy 12 concert acoustic natural runs around $700. Wow, that's cheap. A 12 Academy 12. Okay, not a 12 string. Sorry. So I wouldn't waste my money when. Yeah, and like I said, with the 12 strings, I mean, for acoustics, I tend to not skimp. I tend to try to buy better quality instruments. But on electrics, like I said, a lot of times my ear gravitates towards the cheaper electrics because I like the way they sound. This one was, I mean, I don't know what does G&L still make? Who sells G&Ls? Do you know? Does Sweetwater sell G&Ls? G and L Legacy Special. Let's see who sells them. Musician's Friend. I don't get a residual from this. Reverb. Let's see. Well, that makes it easy to see what they're going for. I mean, here's one. It's not like mine. $800. But it's not the humbuggers. Let's see what we have here. Fullerton. Yeah, the Fullerton ones. The Tribute. No. Do they have? I don't think they make the humbucker ones anymore. That's stacked or anything. But the Fullerton ones are like $1,800, $1,700. So really not much of a difference in price. Probably because there's a lot more automation in the process than there was back in the day when I bought mine. I think I paid $880 for mine. Used, yeah. So I don't think they're particularly expensive. I mean, you might be able to find, what was it? Mine was a 96. Wait, no, that would be I'll check with Reverb. 1996, G&L. Let me just see what a 96 G&L goes for. ASAT, yeah, Oh yeah, I remember those pickups. Those are, yeah, 2,200 bucks, 1,200 bucks, 1,200 bucks for the bass. Let's see. I like the G&L basses actually. Um, Left-handed. Yeah, I don't see mine. Like mine's a Legacy Special, which I think the Special is the humbuckers. So I don't see mine anywhere. Anyway, acoustic wise, yeah. Let me check out that one real quick. You said the Taylor. Yeah, it's just called 12 Con. Let me check it out. It would be Sweetwater would have it, right? But I would, if I'm going to buy an acoustic, as much as I'd like to make a commission on you buying an acoustic through a Sweetwater link that I provide for you, I think it's more important to go and play in person and see if it feels good in your hands. The Eastmans, yeah, the Eastmans aren't bad. Let's see. Let me Taylor acoustic. What would you say? 12 grand concert. 12 grand concert. The Grand Concert's a smaller body, which is kind of nice, I think, right? Am I wrong on that? Oh, I see. Here it is. The Academy. Oh, that's a nylon. 12. Oh, this one's $5,800. So, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, the one I see that's $750 is a nylon. Is that what she's looking for? Interesting. Oh, they have multiple ones. Oh, that's kind of cool. They have 4 of them in the store, and they're telling you the weight. Like you can look at them individually. But again, these are nylon. Is that right? Yeah, these are nylon. So is that what you wanted? You wanted to know? Oh, we got more people watching now than ever before. Isn't that funny? Yeah, I mean, I would say $700 to $800 is a pretty good, pretty decent amount to spend on an entry level. Yeah, my daughter has a Martin something. I can't remember what we got, and it wasn't very expensive. But yeah, and that's the other thing. You can find stuff used sometimes. It's a little tough. I mean, Craigslist can be a drag because you got to walk around. Now, here's a tip with Craigslist. The nice thing about acoustic instruments on Craigslist is that you know they're working if you're not. If you're buying electric, it's hard because you almost have to go to their house and hear it plugged in. But like with acoustic, especially if you're a woman and you're buying something off Craigslist, you go to meet at a coffee shop or something like that. You meet somewhere public that's convenient to the seller, and you play it, you check it out, you do all those things I told you. Play every single fret on every string to see if it's buzzing. You look at the bridge and see if the bridge or the top is warped or the bridge is coming up. You look at the neck, make sure the neck's not too warped or too flat or backbowed. You check all those things out, and don't have any cash on you, and then you go, okay, let's go meet at my bank, and then you go to the bank, and then you go together with the instrument, get the money out. That's how I do it. Not even for me so much as for the seller too, because the sellers, I had a friend that sold some stuff on Craigslist, and he got tied up and put under his bed, under his piano, and they stole everything in his studio. And 3 guys showed up, and he said if it were 2 guys, he could have taken them, but it was 3. I mean, this guy was a black belt. He could have done some damage, but with 3, it's like he couldn't take out 3 guys. So ads will run shortly for some viewers. Oh, interesting. You're going to get an ad here in a second. Go, because we're at 11 o'clock. An Ibanez, let's see, the CN, is that an acoustic? I don't know about their acoustics. I felt like let's see, I got to go back to reverb. Like cheap acoustics, like Japanese cheap acoustics from the, oh no, this is an electric. Wow. Oh no, I thought it said 8,500. I remember those. It's 850. Man, those original ones are back in the 70s. Dang, that's crazy. $6,500. I don't think anyone's paying $6,500 for this though. It's the one that looks like the Yamahas with a Tree of Life inlay. That's crazy. This is a glue-on neck. It's a weird glue-on neck, and they're frets. I remember those really wide, flat frets. So I wonder what my Ibanez. Let's see. I have a Ibanez. So 70s. So they were doing knockoffs. They got sued, and then they started to come out with their own. See, I have an Ibanez. My first electric is the Ibanez 175. I wonder if Alex will sell it after I'm dead. Yeah, they're not worth that much. Yeah, this one, I paid $300 for it new, and I see them going for $950, $850. Although mine is like this one. Yeah, that's pretty with the sunburst, but it's not as nice as my 175. I have the, what is it? Ibanez. What was the name of that? It's a 335 copy, but I can't remember. 1978. I know I got it like it was that age. No. I forget what it was called. Get rid of the... $99. Yeah, I don't see. Yeah. Oh, Roadstar Deluxe. Yeah, Alex has my Roadstar, which actually he did a session with it a while back, and it sounded so good. I'm like, give me that Roadstar back. It was a pain though, because it had a Floyd Rose kind of tremolo on it, and so it had the locking nuts, and if you broke a string, it was a real pain. Hey Miguel, what's going on? Time for lunch. Okay, yep, I agree. I gotta get ready. I gotta do some work here. I'm gonna try to get that video up this week. The overview of my. I think I said everything I need to say, but I did a lot of video and I have to edit out a lot of stuff. So, but I did a video about my Squire Strat in the Paul Davids video. So, yeah. So, but with an acoustic instrument, yeah, you're going to probably want to pony up a little bit more money, get a better instrument. I think you get some decent electrics that'll do the job for $200, $300, $400, $500. But acoustics, you're going to be looking at minimum $500. You're going to be looking at $1,000 maybe for a medium instrument. But good instruments are going to be over $2,000, $3,000. So, but the main brands, particularly, I'd say Martin is the main brand, then Gibson Taylor kind of next, but Martin. And then, you've got Collins, and those are good. But I know people that spend a lot of money on Collins guitars, and then they try to sell them, and they can't get what they paid for them. So you can find things like Collins and different boutique acoustic guitars out there, like I said, on Craigslist or on Reverb for less than retail if you want to go that route. But you're going to have to play it. So. All right, awesome. Oh, you see me live sometimes. I'm glad. Well, I'm live right now. So, all right. God bless you all. I will see you next Monday, Lord willing, and have fun playing. Practice this new pentatonic shape. Get it down. We're going to work on number 4 next week. Okay. Bye-bye.